Hello, hello. I decided to hop on. I think I'm going to be hopping on every weekend to stream live. I'm trying to narrow down a time. It was 11 a.m. on Saturdays, what I used to do. I might stick to that. Um, I just need to make sure, anyways, but I do like early mornings though. So, anyways, look out for that. But today I just wanted to make a video and kind of talk about Bitcoin and money and what makes the difference between money and currency and talk about why the United States currency is going to fail. Uh, and I'm not going to go over conspiracies. I mean, I do like going over those. Those are fun, right? But I'm going to go over actual, like, factual information. And it's not a case of if, it is a case of when. And I'm going to go over why that is. Um, and yeah, talk about the difference in the money we have now versus money that we used to have, that was backed by a physical asset like gold. Um, talk about the printing of money, talk about all that. Um, and then I figured we'd go over, depending on how long I've been talking, which I talk a lot. I'm we'll mess around with that. The last couple of videos, we've been messing around with editing a background video where I prompted it to look like a um, cave that a Bitcoin Batman-esque billionaire, I can't remember the full prompt, would own, but yeah, let's get into it. Um, so I just want to say, appreciate, I've been getting a couple subs lately, so hello to the new people. I took a break for a year, and I'm back streaming again. I'm not only going to talk about crypto. I do have a passion for Bitcoin specifically, so I believe in Bitcoin. I believe in the problem it's solving, and I very much want to be a part of that. um, but I love a lot of things, and so I find that I'm kind of obsessed with tech. But it's not only tech. I love learning about like history that was taught as facts that turns out not to be like mainstream. Even things like um, just learning how, I don't know, even like if anyone's been older than like 15 years old, the recommended dosage of what you're supposed to eat changes every 15 years or something like that. So like we just don't really know anything, and it's fun to learn about things that you thought were certain, things that you thought were certain, but we're not certain. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. Um, and so I'm like, how am I gonna narrow down my channel and figure out exactly what I'm gonna. Anyways, so like maybe Skystruck Tech or Skylar Tech. Anyway, some or maybe like I don't know. So I haven't figured that out yet, but um, I am obsessed about AI lately, especially since, late 2021, early 2022. Um, and AI is mind blowing, and it's not mind blowing of things that could happen in the future. It's mind blowing of things that happen today that you couldn't do 4 weeks ago. Like literally every month, there's at least one or two mind blowing AI products out there. And so, um, and kind of a side business I have is building AI products, building AI solutions, media type esque things using AI cloning voice, anyways, all this stuff. So, um, yeah, I'm going to be talking about that a lot lately too. So look out for that. How long have we been going? Ooh, a 5 minute intro. Um, cool. So I figured before I figured um, before we get into why the United States dollar is going to collapse, you kind of need to know why. Um, you kind of need to know the state of the money that we're currently using. Now, I couldn't really find. There should be like a money versus currency comparison T chart. I couldn't really find anything though. And this is okay, but anyways, I got digging because I made a chart a long time ago. Ooh, what's this? Yeah, crypto. That's not what I'm looking for. Oh, this is actually a decent one. Oh, and now I'm finding okay ones. Anyways, I made one along. Oops, not that one. What's going on? There it is. Um, that kind of talks about. Wait, can you zoom in? There you go. Boom, 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 boom. Oh wait, you can't see. All right. um, so the reason why it's important to know what the difference between money and fiat is and the state of our money is right now we're going through a bunch of printing of money, and a lot of people that don't know this stuff, what I'm going to tell you, might think that this is normal, and it is normal in a sense, but in a bad way. So let's first, um, let's see, should we talk about why money's important first, or should we do the reverse? Anyways, I'm already here. But now, gold, now it's weird. In crypto, people talk trash on gold a lot. Um, I'm not one of those. It's kind of hard to think for yourself when 90% of there's always like one side or the other, and they're so 100%. Anyways, but when it comes down to it, gold has a lot of really good value when it comes to hard money, money that won't lose its value, right? Currently, people are experiencing their dollar losing value. They see it, from just a couple years ago. Um, and there's a reason for that. And gold, for instance, is kind of funny. People think that gold increases in value. Gold actually doesn't increase in value. Gold has been steady over thousands of years in the sense that gold has always been able to buy the same type of stuff. If you went to like Barney's and bought a suit, top, bottom, shirt, tie, socks, nice pair of shoes, belt, nice leather, belt, nice silk tie, whatever. It would cost you 1,000 to 2,000 bucks. For a really nice one, 2,000 to 4,000, right? Um, back, a couple thousand years ago, you took an ounce of silver and you'd be able to buy the same thing. A nice robe, nice, uh, gold threaded rope belt, whatever, sandals, um, a shirt, like whatever. It was the same thing. So gold has kind of stayed the same when it comes to what it can buy, but what people value gold as has changed. And so gold is one of those things that, like, if the United States inflates its currency and doubles the amount of currency, that means there's double the amount of money to buy gold, which means gold will increase in value because people are able to buy it more, which means it limits its supply more, and people increase the price of gold because it's a limited supply. Now gold is worth more. Gold didn't change. Nothing has changed drastically except for the fact of printing more money. So I like gold. And now there is a problem. The United States actually forced its citizens to turn in their gold to help with the. Um, in fact, I have a. Yeah, sorry, over there. It's not hanging on the wall though. Um, anyways, and then in the 1930s, when the Great Depression happened, um, the government, and it's like 1933, the government forced its citizens to turn in their gold. So that if the government knows you have a bunch of gold, they could force you to take it over or give it to you, give it to them. I don't know. So that's kind of scary. Registration of Bitcoin wallets are getting more. I mean, you can make a Bitcoin wallet with just the internet, but anyways, we'll get into that. But let's kind of go through these. Um, so in order to be money, you kind of need to follow all of these rules right here. And the more rules you follow, the more like the more real money is. Oh my gosh, I just realized. Hold on. I always do this. I'm gonna duplicate that. I'm gonna go there. I always open one of my chats, but not the other. Can't I like pop this out? There you go. All right. Okay. So, um, so in order money to be money, one, it needs to be fungible. Fungible means um, 1 ounce of gold is worth 1 ounce of gold. If I had an ounce of gold and you had an ounce of gold, we boiled it down, we knew it the exact same ounce of gold, it's interchangeable. So you need that to happen because when you buy something, you need to be able to give someone cash and they give you cash back, with so everyone takes the same money, right? Just like this is what we use now. But if you ever sell or buy gold, you just you go through. Okay, you have 100 coins. You just pick up. Oh, I'm selling three. You just pick up three random ones. You're not like, oh, this 1 ounce of gold is worth less than this 1 ounce of gold, right? So you need that to happen because you need everything to be even. You need to be able to have accountability and count it and be able to have it transact with it. You know, um, you need to have it interchangeable, right? So cash is that way. Um, Gold is that way. Bitcoin is that way, right? When I sell 1 Bitcoin, it just goes into a pile, and when I buy a Bitcoin, it just takes a random one from the pile. There's no now it is kind of interesting because this could be different in the sense of what if someone famous gave you a $100 bill and then as a tip and they signed it. um that would be worth more than 100, right? Because someone signed it. But that's kind of different. Hey, how's it going, Vincent? So yeah, fungible is very important. You need that to be money. This is also, by the way, when people ask me why I'm so obsessed about Bitcoin, this is the reason why. This is pretty much right here, what I'm about to show you today. um And the reason why this is important, by the way, when the government doubles the amount of money out there and just prints money out of thin air, it devaluizes the dollar, and now you have to spend more money to get less things. And what that means is you have to spend more time to earn money if you're an hourly or even salary, um, because your money is now worth less. So now that your money is worth less and you have to spend more money to get things, they're essentially it's essentially taking away your time, and your time is being taken away more and more and more and more. In the 50s, you were able to have one job, 3 kids at home, stay at home wife, not to say the wife should be staying at home or anything, but you were able to do that and buy a house and, you know, it was like 3 years, 4 years. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I thought it was a dumpster falling down or something. It was thunder. Oh, cool. That's sweet, Vincent. That is a good video because a lot of people don't know how to calculate the crypto coins. Um, they look at the yeah, the price of the token, not the market cap, but that's cool. Well, welcome, Vincent. I haven't been here in like a year, so um I'm starting to stream again weekly and I'll start making videos again, so um yeah, welcome, welcome. Um anyways, so yeah, needs to be fungible. We need to be able to buy things with them and whatnot, right? Um, it needs to be non-consumable. Oh, what's going on? My screen just blacked out. Of course it did. Hold on, give me 1 second. Is that it? No? Yeah, okay, cool. Open. Oh, okay, it was a setting. Let's get back to OBS. Boom. All right, sorry about that. Clearly understand. Thank you. Yeah, Vincent. Um, cool. You need to be able to also uh, um, it needs not to be able to be um, damaged, or you need to be able to put it away and store it for a while, and you need to be able to um, easily take it from one place to another. This is actually where gold has an issue, because if you have too much gold, you can't really carry that around. So you can only carry around a certain amount of gold, but really, who carries around like a couple $1,000s? That's what one tiny little coin is, an ounce, right? So, but you're gonna have to carry little tiny little balls of ingots and a little bigger one. Like there's gonna have to be, anyways. So, and then if you want to transact in large amounts of gold and someone will cross the world or something like that, then that's going to be a nightmare as well. So that's where gold kind of struggles. And the way that people do that now is they work with a company who holds the gold, and then they transact digital numbers. And then they say, great, I'm going to put those digital numbers in this digital thing over here. And then it'll represent an actual gold bar or whatever. But then now not they're not actually using the gold now. They're using, internet, and anyways, someone can hack it and zero it out, and you know, anyways. Um Cash, yeah, for the most part, it's portable. You don't really need millions of dollars, and even if you did have millions of dollars, it's like a duffel bag. I'm trying to be nice about a lot of these too, but and then Bitcoin, of course, is portable. You can transact $1 billion anybody in the world in seconds, and yeah. I mean, depending on how loaded the network is, if the entire world was using the network, it would probably take months to transact. That's a problem with Bitcoin. Um, but at its current rate, it would take seconds. So, um, and then durable. Oh yeah, this is what I already mentioned, right? You need to be able to store it, right? I only put this for cash because if you like buried cash in your backyard after like 10 years, or I don't know, it'll degrade and dissolve or whatever. It needs to be divisible. So you need to be able to have small, tiny amounts as well as super, large amounts. Um, and Uh, Gold would be hard, especially with one of these coins right here is worth right now it's worth like $1,900. So you'd have to have these tiny little like ingots and I don't know. Um, so yeah, not really divisible, and that's why they got rid of gold and went to cash. But they said this cash is backed by gold. At least it was for a while. So cash is pretty divisible. Um, Now, there is a couple of problems when it comes to um, microtransactions. You can't really do much under a penny. Not that you would need to, but in the digital age, you would need to. And right now, if you were to, you know, there could be a really cool way to do things, and that's what crypto is doing, where you could have social points. The more you use the Facebook, the more points you get, the more interaction, whatever. And it could be a way where you could make a business out of social media and all this stuff. Um, but yeah, with cash, you can't do anything digital. You have to mess around with actual money. And then even so, you can't do microtransactions. So put out an article, everybody who reads it, 0.01 penny gets paid to you. They pay a, you know, 99-cent membership fee for a month. And, I don't know, that 99 cents gets split 50% to the network to run it, and the other 50% goes to articles they read. They read one article, it's you make 50% that month, right? Little things like that, or 50 cents, right? However many people read your article, a little cool, like you could do a lot of cool things, but you can't do that with cash. And even with digitally, you can't do it because there's all these processing companies involved and Swift and cross border this and that. And anyways, with Bitcoin doesn't care. You can. A lot of people say, "Well, I don't have 60 grand to buy Bitcoin." It's like you don't need 60 grand. Just put in $100 a paycheck or whatever you can afford, um, and it'll give you point zero zero zero, zero zero whatever Bitcoin, right? And eventually, you might have 0.10 Bitcoin and have a tenth of a Bitcoin, and slowly, anyways. So but you could do microtransactions eventually. Once, I don't know if Lightning Network is going to get attached or not, but Bitcoin right now can do like 5 to 7 transactions per second. It needs to do hundreds of thousands to compete, and eventually millions of transactions per second once like IoT solutions start hopping around and like your refrigerator has cameras and it notices you're low on milk and it automatically ships you a new milk carton before stuff like that. Your car tires are getting low. It automatically books an appointment for you to go in to get your tires replaced. You know, there's a lot of things like that can be done. That is being done right now, but technology will make it very modernized soon. Acceptable. Uh, Gold is, uh, I mean, it is acceptable, but I mean, try going into a Walmart with a gold bar, right? Um, so in the sense of if you're dealing with large amounts of money or people that know money or people that I've accepted gold before instead of cash. Um, so, um, yeah, but you can't go to the grocery store or gas station, right? Cash is. Oh, I need to change this because this is not true anymore. This was true. Um, this was true. Um, 3 years ago, but as of COVID, it's not true anymore. I have, in fact, the Megaplex right down the street from me. Uh, if you go in with cash, they tell you to go over to an ATM, insert your cash, and then it'll put that cash digitally on a card, and then you can take that card and pay for the movie. And I've seen a few places like that. So more and more cash isn't accepted. Uh, and they're trying to make it all digital. That way they can track your transactions. And man, I think that's going to be the next big one. They're able to tap your emails, your phone calls, your any communication the government can record and listen to. Um, that's what happened after 2022, after or sorry 2002 after 9/11. Um, and I feel like they're moving to the way of now where they'll be able to follow and track all of our transactions, which would mean like in China right now, if they don't like the book you're reading or they don't like the people you're hanging out with or whatever, they can limit you from going on certain trains or doing certain things. Yeah, crazy. But yeah, Bitcoin is not um, accepted. Um, Hardly anywhere, and so that's a big problem. It's getting more and more, but still Bitcoin, like it's a money system, um, and for the world, and it's at a $2 trillion market cap around there. Um, but still, uh, just the United States is, over 30 trillion in debt. The so when it comes to tapping into world market, it's still like a baby, but and until they fix the problem of transaction speeds while maintaining security, it's gonna remain this way. But once they fix that, um, I believe adoption will happen very quick. Um, Authentic, meaning you can't um, forge it, right? You can't make a fake version of it. Gold, you can see if it's gold. You can buy things online, at home, very cheap to be able to test to see if something's gold or not. So you can very easily tell if this is real or not, if it's mixed, even if it's mixed. It'll shoot a little laser on it and it'll tell you the purity as well. So if somebody took like 10 gold coins and they took out, or they took out 9 gold coins and they melt them all down, put the same time stamped, and made it, you know, put in a tenth of something else that was very close to gold. You'd be able to tell that now those 10 coins that used to be nine are each have a 90%, you know uh whatever gold ratio, or anyway. um Cash is is fake currency all the time. I actually have really I have fake currency here. Um, it does say like prop money or something really small in it. But it's like, dude, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. That's why they're always changing what the dollar looks like, adding security. So if I heard that North Korea is the number one maker of fake United States currency. And yeah, who knows? But that's definitely a big problem. You can't fake a Bitcoin, right? In the early days, you heard about those like people selling Chuck E. Cheese coins or whatever, which I think that was a fake story. But anyways, um, you can easily tell if a Bitcoin's real Bitcoin. It's an open network, meaning all the transactions are public. You can see someone sending you Bitcoin. You can copy that wallet address. You can see where that Bitcoin came from. You can see it's a real Bitcoin, and you can track it back to when it was minted, when that Bitcoin was created by miners or rewarded to by miners or whatever. Um, Money needs to be secure. Uh, you need to be able to make sure that nobody can steal or take your money, right? Gold, right? The government took our gold in 1933. Someone could break in and steal it. I don't know. Um, Cash, not secure, right? it can easily be stolen. You bank vaults, it's a physical item. Even like your digital accounts online, they can be hacked. Um, so yeah, Bitcoin has never been hacked. Every single Bitcoin that has been transacted has been sent to the right place. The right person got it. No one's ever stolen Bitcoin from the Bitcoin network and hacked it. Now, in early days, there was like a short period where something, I can't remember what happened. Um, but it was found right away. They fixed it because everybody who was on the network can agree to roll back the network. And anyways, so yeah, that happened, and but everything got fixed. That was a long. I was like when Bitcoin was, 30 bucks or 100 or 80. I don't know, early. But but yeah, it's so big now that it's never been hacked. No one's ever hacked the Bitcoin network. When people say, "Oh, someone lost Bitcoin due to a hack," they the network or the like Binance exchange was hacked. Not saying Binance was hacked. I'm just an exchange was hacked, or maybe like your password. You wrote your password down on like a notepad on your computer, or you emailed it to yourself or something, or I don't know, some place where you stored your passwords, and that got hacked. And so someone was able to go into your computer, read your password, and then they went and put it in your Bitcoin password and took your Bitcoin. So stuff like that has happened, but that's not Bitcoin network being hacked. That's people's passwords being hacked from their computers or lost, or whatever the case. So Bitcoin is uh yeah, most secure network in the world actually. And every 10 minutes a new like it locks all the transactions every 10 minutes. And so every 10 minutes they're looking at what transactions are going on. They're all verifying with one another, and there's well over 1 million people who are backing this network um, every 10 minutes. So very, very, very secure. Um, Easily transactable gold, nah, right? Um, yeah, can't carry around gold, right? Just like it's not really acceptable because no one's going to take it because you can't really carry it around. So that's why they use cash, right? Cash is easy to transact with. At least it used to be before they stopped taking it. Um, but yeah, you know, um, you easily carry a couple $100 in your wallet. You can buy anything very easily with it, right? Bitcoin, I put the not so happy face because it's not easy right now. You have to learn about wallets and passwords and this might even be a red face actually. It's not easy. It's not like even like if you want to buy a stock right now, you just download like the Webull app, the Robinhood app, the whatever. It'll it'll walk you through it. Log in. Oh, what's your name? What's your put in your ID or what's your password? Boom, you're in. What's your bank account router? Blah blah blah. Now you're in. What do you want to buy? This? Okay, we're gonna pull it from your bank. Like it's not that easy with Bitcoin. You have to create a wallet. You have to know what a wallet is, and then it's like you have to make sure you're not getting scammed by somebody. Like right now, if you look up download, if you like type in ChatGPT in your phone, the first app that pops up is always like some ad sponsored not ChatGPT app, and everybody I know that they're using that app. I'm like, that's not ChatGPT. Um, so that's kind of confusing because people don't know. People who don't know Bitcoin, it's like, how do I know how to? All I know, they can go to PayPal, right? Um, Coinbase. They can go to, but that's a crypto exchange. So now they have to learn. It's just a whole world they have to learn. Um, and so until that gets normalized, that's gonna be a problem. And then also, like network fees and taxes, right? Um, it's all going to be different. You throw in $100 into Bitcoin and it goes up 200, it goes up 100%, right? So now you have $200, and then you make like $100 transaction with that. Well, you just made $100 and now you're going to get taxed 40% or whatever it would be. And so now you're going to owe more taxes unless you let that sit for a year because money technically is an asset. Anyways, so there's issues with this. Um, and that's getting fixed, by the way. Once Bitcoin gets normalized, once Bitcoin can do more transactions per second and it can be adopted, like technically it can be adopted, um then I think these problems will fix itself. Then it'll be normalized. Scarce gold is pretty scarce. But they could find a new vein that has more gold than we have on the planet, right? We don't know. Not everything in the planet has been 100% mapped out, right? If you look at all like the geological surveys and stuff, there could be so much more gold. We don't know. But technically, there will be a limit. Eventually, we will be mining asteroids. What if there's an asteroid that has more gold than, 100 times more gold than everything on the planet? 1,000 times, whatever, right? Now gold won't be valuable. It'll be something else, maybe some space exploration materials, and I don't know what that would be, or, something to help man, whatever. There might be some other thing. So, anyways, if but then that thing could be, anyways, there can be a roller coaster with physical assets taken from, you know, the earth or whatever. Anyways, um, cash definitely not scarce, so you can print tons of this out of thin air. You can just print this anytime you want, so it's not scarce. You need money to be scarce, because if it's not scarce, what if money was water or dirt? It's like, dude, there's dirt everywhere. So that's not going to be, I don't want to spend my time working for a bucket of dirt because dirt's everywhere. A bucket of diamonds, hell yeah, I'll work for a bucket of diamonds, right? Because it's scarce. But yeah, cash is not scarce, and that's a problem. It's becoming more and more of a problem. It was, anyways, we'll get into that. Bitcoin is scarce. There's about 21 million Bitcoin ever to be minted, and then it's done. So you can't make more Bitcoin. Uh, After like in like 100 more years, 120 more years, something like that, no more Bitcoin will be minted, and at that time they'll, if if the math is done right, what Satoshi did, then it'll be adopted, and there'll be a new way to transact in Bitcoin outside of rewarding miners. But um, like a monthly, everybody in the world pays, what would be equivalent to like $3 a month to use Bitcoin, something minimal. 20 cents for everybody in the world to help run the network. Or computers will be so cheap, it could be a penny or something. I don't know, something very small to run it. We'll see. Decentralized, Bitcoin is not really decentralized. Most of the governments own it, the majority of it, and um, they control it. When other people are in control of your money, which is essentially your time, right? That's a problem. You have to have faith in other people, and gold. When the government is the majority owner of gold, that's the problem, right? Um, so yeah, cash absolutely not decentralized, created by, Fed and Treasury and the government, not controlled by the masses. Bitcoin is controlled by the masses. So it's however many people are on the network helping the network run, they get a vote, and um, so whether they do things or don't do things, the network votes on it, and anybody can be a part of that network. So it is very decentralized. Now, there could be something to be said with the fact that more and more like huge, massive companies are hopping on the network and they're taking over huge chunks of the network. And there's like essentially like four or five big massive companies that are the majority owners of that network. Um, uh, so now here is the deal. That's has happened before that one of those big, you know, big companies that were a huge chunk of the network tried to do something, and what they call, we're going to say, like Bitcoin Cash, for instance, or Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. A big chunk of the people that were running the network said, we want to do this code. And the other people were like, no, we don't think that code is good. We're going to keep doing it this way or whatever. And they disagree. And then this huge chunk decides to mine their different code, and these people don't. So now it becomes two separate chains. And so now they're two separate tokens. And the biggest market cap token always ends up being Bitcoin, right? Unless they decide to change the name. But normally what happens, like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin said, we're going to do it this way. Bitcoin Cash said, we think it should, or the miners of Bitcoin, a big chunk of the miners said, we want to do it this way. A big chunk of the Bitcoin miners said, we're going to do it that way. And then, and then they both did it their own way. And then Bitcoin Cash had their token, and then Bitcoin had their token, and then the miners kept mining, and it eventually became two separate projects. So if anybody tries to change the network or whatever the case, then that's fine. If they decide to change it, then Bitcoin will now be whatever the masses decide. And if the power just to be decides to rip people off and change the network in their benefit, then people aren't going to use that network, and they're going to use the people that decided not to do it that way. So now the people decided not to rip people off, the small, 20%, the people who are actually using the network will start using the 20% miners, and now the 20% miners will make a lot of money because everyone's using their code, and then the miners on the other code are going to lose money, and then they'll eventually hop back on the chain. Anyways, it's built to be very decentralized. I'm like confusing everybody. Then it needs to be smart and programmable. Programmable. This is kind of new. I just threw this in because it's a digital age. People always say, well, it's on the internet. What happens if Bitcoin gets deleted off the internet, or the internet just goes down? There's millions of Bitcoin miners in pretty much every country in the world. So if the network goes down, that means every internet in the world pretty much goes down, which means we're in a lot of trouble, right? Like something happened horrible if the entire world's internet went down. So if a country's internet went down, if China, Russia, UK, United States, Mexico, Canada, South America, all those countries deleted the internet overnight, Bitcoin network would still be fine, right? The entire network needs to be deleted. So, anyways, um, so yeah, I think money needs to be smart, and it needs to be programmable, especially if you want to do those things where, like, there's a camera in your fridge, it sees that your milk is getting low, and you need to, and it orders you a new one. That can't be done with gold, can't be done with cash. It can't even be done with digital cash because microtransactions still can't be done. Now the Fed and Treasury and Swift, all these companies are bending the knee because they're like, well, we can do microtransactions, but we make way more money if we don't. So now that we have competition, we're going to start doing these microtransactions. So they are bending the knee a little bit, but still, you can't do microtransactions. But yeah, you can with Bitcoin, especially with Lightning Network. We'll see what happens with Lightning Network, or if that's actually even viable thing. But yeah, I just wanted to show you like what money was, because you need in order for your time, because your money is represented by your time, and you only have a limited time amount on Earth. So essentially, your time is represented by your life. How much of your life is going to be represented by the time that you spend acquiring this money to pay your bills and be able to eat and whatever, live your life how you want it to be. um and so when governments print money, when when people manipulate rules in their benefit to make you work less, manipulate taxes, all this stuff, it takes away your time, and it makes them make more money to spend less time to make that money, which is stealing your life essentially, right? Um, now, um, yeah, so this is kind of what I want to talk about. And um, when your dollar is being devalued, um, you used to hear the saying that the 90, that we had the 90 and the 10%. 90% of the wealth is owned by 10% of the population, and 10% of the population owns 90% of the wealth. Um, and then it became the 99 1% rule, or whatever you want to call it, where 99% of the population owned 1% of the wealth, and 1% of the population owned 99% of the wealth. And it's becoming less and less. There's like less than 20 companies, that are owned by 100 or so people that pretty much own this 99% of the world's wealth. Um, so, you, you know, um, yeah, and that's a problem. It just makes you work a lot harder for a lot less, and this becomes a problem because, again, in the 50s, you could have a father, you could have a mom, you could have a mom and dad, or a husband and wife. There we go. Jeez, husband and wife. I'm not saying gender or any or sexism or anything like that. I'm just saying in the 50s, you could have a husband and wife with three kids. The wife could stay at home raising the family, and the husband could go to a regular 9 to 5 job and come home and provide for his family, and be able to pay off the house in 10 years, 5 years, 8 years, um, and yeah, and then it started going downhill from there. And now, um, you know, like you can't do that. You have to have, and if you had three kids, you have to have multiple jobs. Both people have to be working, and it's just becoming worse and worse and worse. And so people think this is normal. Well, you shouldn't be having to be spending all this time and all your life to be making money for other people and other corporations and whatever. I talk to a lot of people that aren't from the United States, and they're just like, what the, because I have a very hustle mentality, in the sense of like, I just feel like, I don't know, I'm always working towards more. I'm in my free time, I'm trying to, you know um and a lot of my other buddies are just like, they're very more chill, relaxed, and like, well, I have a 4 month, I'm taking my 4 month leave or whatever for the year, or I don't know. It's just like, wow, 4 months of relaxing. I didn't even know if I could do that. It's like when you go on summer vacation and like halfway, you're like, I miss my friends at school. And you're like, idiot. Don't say that. School sucks. Just kidding. But yeah. Um, so let's kind of go over the path of why our United States dollar started losing its value, and it became where we had to work more and more to earn less and less, and how this is ultimately going to crash the economy. So let's just start. Let's go back to 1907. A crash happened in 1907. It was a panic in 1907, I believe it was called. And the crash was so bad. Essentially, what was taking place was you had a bunch of regional banks, that held money, and those banks, they had like a reserve of like 10%, meaning if someone gave you like $100,000, they only had to keep $10,000 of that money in the bank, and the other $90,000 they were able to lend out, but they were able to lend it out at like a 10x increase. So they could take that $90,000 and now loan it to a business starting for $900,000. and they were able to gamble with your money. And eventually, always, people lost faith in their bank. Um, all of a sudden, people, they get so big that all of a sudden something snags them and they have to sell a bunch of assets, and people are like, is our bank going down? They start losing faith, and they start asking for withdrawals, and problems start happening because they don't have withdrawals, and it ends up ultimately crashing the bank. And then people lose faith in banks. And anyways, so in 1907, a bunch of the big banks got together and they're like, look, we just need to create a bank. We need to create like a union, or not, that's the wrong word, but we need to join together. And that way, if this bank is having a trouble or your bank is having a trouble, we will help one another and give you money. That way, when we'll cover your debts. That way, if they come asking for 40, people start flocking and they ask, and it ends up being like 40% of the money they're asking for, we're going to give you that 40%, even though you only have 10. That way, when people flock to you and they start withdrawing money and you are giving everybody their money, and you keep saying like, yeah, it's fine. If you want to come withdraw your money, that's fine. And we're good though. And everybody sees that you're good, then they're going to have faith in you again. They're going to realize, okay, they are good, and they're going to, nothing happened, everybody's funds were good, and it was just an over exaggeration type of thing. And then people won't panic anymore, and we'll be able to keep pushing the economy forward and lending out money and all this stuff. So that was the kind of path to agreeing to this in 1913. Now in 1913 they were supposed to agree to like an agreement where like half, it was like a half government, half private entity that kind of joined together, um, and it was privately owned but oversought by the government, um, and uh, had government influence on the board. And there were certain agreements. I can't remember what they all are right now. It's been a while since oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name of that book now too. Jekyll High Creature on Jekyll Island. Anyway, um, so eventually, the Federal Reserve was created, and there's a huge story behind this because it was passed like right after, it was, or right before a holiday. It was passed late at night. They changed the bill, and everybody was on vacation, and it got passed with very little votes by essentially the banks going to the people that they needed the votes on, making sure that they were there to vote on getting this passed when they knew everybody was out on vacation. Um, so, anyways, kind of crazy story behind that. But the Federal Reserve was created. Now, this is supposed to stabilize the economy. The reason this was created, and this is what they said, this is the reason they were created. The reason why they all got together and they were selling this to the public was because the economies were just crashing in all these regional areas because of these banks, and they wanted to get together and help stabilize the economy. Obviously, that didn't happen because now there's a lot that has gone on right here with war, and there was like a pandemic, um, and all this stuff, but um, yeah, and then like the 20s, boom happened, whatever. Um, but the next big, and then yeah, FDR told everybody, we need your gold as well. That's when he forced everybody to give the gold in 1933. Now I have this other image up because I guess that's fine. I've been talking a lot, but so I guess we'll just fast forward to 1944. Okay, this is important because now, if you'll notice these steps of slowly taking away the value and control of money and putting it into their hands. So before, it was only centralized banks, all these like hundreds of banks everywhere, all over us, like everyone had their own money, their own system, their own, and eventually all these big banks got together and they said, now all of the banks are under control under us, and you have to abide by our rules. and so now the Fed was essentially control of all um, um, money flow and the banks in the United States. Then in 1944, right after the war, we started an agreement where the United States, the UK, Canada, a bunch of countries got together and said, we're worldwide now, and there's all this trade going on, and there's all this trade with, everybody's currency is fluctuating, all this, like, we don't know value, we don't know who to, like, if you want to buy something from one country, you don't like their currency, you won't buy it, so they have to buy another currency, and there's all this, like, world trade hasn't really been established yet when it comes to um, like a centralized world currency type of thing that we can all kind of get on the same page with was their thought behind it. So in 1944, they decided, how about all of the world current when you do trade needs to be done through the United States dollar, um, and the United States dollar will essentially be the world currency. So in 1944, all these countries said, "Great, okay." So then what that did is it made all these countries um, dump their money, dump United States dollars into their vaults, and um, they had to hold United States dollars because if Canada wanted to buy something from you know Britain or something, Canada would just say, "Hey, we want to buy $30 billion worth of this." Then Britain would use United States dollars, and Canada would use United States dollars. So they had to hold all their reserves, even though like it was back, even though they had like Canadian money or whatever. Um, their Canadian money was backed by the United States dollar. So world trade was done by the dollar. Country, you know, all of the money done in the country was done by their local currency, whatever the Canadian currency is. So, um, but yeah, so that was the kind of the thought process behind 1944. So now, um, everybody's currency is backed by the United States dollar. So if you want to trade with some country, if they're in this agreement, then their currency they have to hold, a bunch of United States dollars, and it just makes it where the more money that people have to hold of the United States dollars, it means that's the more power and influence the United States dollar has. So you will notice, well, if the reserve that was created to keep the currency strong, why is this? Why is it crashed almost 50% of its value in less than 10 years? Why, if everybody was agreed to use the United States dollar as their currency, um, and and there's tons of money being purchased of the United States dollar to be put in people's vaults for those trades, why has the United States dollar crashed in value? Well, if I were to show you this chart in 1944, I probably wouldn't see this because in the future we now know things and we know what actually took place. Oh my gosh, how long have I been doing this for? An hour. I can't do this under an hour. What's going on with me? Anyways, the reason why is because the United States was being naughty, and they were printing money. They were buying things they didn't have money for. They had all these black budget nonsenses, and eventually, and they were just using the world as their piggy bank. We still are today, by the way. Um, but we're like, oh, by the way, this also is important because this is when we had where the United States dollar was backed by gold, and so we're like, this dollar bill, you can actually take it in and get real gold for the dollar. So they're not going to print more money than they actually have gold for. So that's why they needed everyone's gold, because they needed to print more money. And so they took everyone's gold, they printed money in the guise of, we're going to give you that back and it'll be worth more. Um, but yeah, they pegged it at like $35 an ounce, or I don't know. But money was backed by gold, and they're like, yeah, you can use this paper, but it'll be backed by gold, don't worry. Um, and same thing with 1944. They're like, yeah, countries, if you want to use our dollar, um, that's fine. And we will have, you have a bunch of gold. So give us your gold and we will give you United States dollars and you can use those dollars for your vaults. And that gold will be represented by the dollars that we give you. So the United States is supposed to have a ton of gold represented by the dollar. And eventually, in 1971 or 1970, 71, the Prime Minister of France, I think it was, called out the United States and essentially said the United States is using the entire world as their piggy bank. They don't actually have the gold that they say they do. Um, they're being dishonest. They're being shady, and we're requesting all of our gold back. And this has actually not been told very much. I don't know why, but um, but yeah, they sent a warship to come pick the gold up to the United States. The boat came to the United States, docked, and within a couple of days or something, Nixon released his famous speech where he's like, um, essentially saying that we're getting off the gold standard and that we're no longer the United States dollar is no longer backed by gold, but it's backed by the faith of the United States government and the faith in our economy and the faith in the fact that we're used as world trade and we're the world trade, dollar type of thing. So that was the guise of it or whatever. But but they did not give France their gold back. So the ship turned around without gold. Crazy. But now that this happened, now the United States essentially said money is not backed by gold, but already the United States has been established as the United States dollar for the world currency. Technically, the Bretton Woods Agreement ended because of this, but it was already established as the world currency. Now, in 1970 to like 1977 or something like that, there was some like crisis with oil, and there is some problems with some faith, not in the currency, not because of really this, but because of some oil stuff that happened after. So soon after, the United States made an agreement with Saudi Arabia and essentially made Saudi Arabia not sell any oil to anybody unless they buy it with United States dollars. So the agreement they had with the oil companies made the United States dollar stay as the world currency, and yeah, so the world kept using the United States currency as their reserve because everybody uses oil and it's the number one, transport. And we kept buying stuff, spending stuff, money that we didn't have. It kept going, 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 going. So the dollar it, it slowly lost its value. Where $1 now in the 70s, you have to is worth only 30 cents, and all the way to 2013, it dropped down to 5 cents. Now, in 2008, this is when quantitative easing took place. This is another huge milestone. Um, this is where the United States said, hey, if we need to at any time, we can insert a huge influx of cash. We call it quantitative easing. And we're going to do this to help stimulate the economy. So these huge, massive corporations with tens of thousands of employees don't get crash, and everybody loses jobs overnight and are, whatever. That was the guise of it. So, um, So yeah, then this is when the money printing started happening. And this is where I should look it up. This is where they printed more money. Here we go. This might work. So yeah, we've done Q4. Let's see. It's like already filled in. If you'll look at that. So in 2022, uh, 80% of every single uh dollar that in existence that was been created. So every single okay, in 2021, we had money. Every in the United States, in the world, all the currency that was created for the United States, we had. And then the next 2 years, we increased that by 80% just in 2 years. So we started flooding the market with money. Um, to kind of put that into perspective, 4 trillion. Yeah. So right here it says $4 trillion was printed January 2022 to 20 trillion in October 2021. That's so nuts. Um, but in 2022, we were like $6 trillion in debt. Or sorry, in 2002. So in like 2002, we were $6 trillion in debt. We're now like $30 trillion in debt. Um, and it's just going more and more because we're just printing money faster and faster. So, um, by the way, something crazy. Side note, factual information, not conspiracy. I There are conspiracies to be said, but this is just facts I'm saying right now. Donald Rumsfeld. I'm gonna show you this right now. Watch. I might show this to you actually. 'Cause it's crazy. Donald Rum. Oh, look right here. Boom, my history. Giving a speech. Come on. No, nothing. No, he's like on the lawn. Wow. Shouldn't be that hard to find. Was this it? No. Um, that's weird. I can't find it. He's on the lawn. But anyways, he says that 2.3 trillion dollars of money was lost. Um, and they don't know where it went. It was unaccounted for. Uh, and at that time, we were only $6 trillion as a national debt. So he was admitting that 1/3 of the entire nation's debt, 1/3 of every single penny you and every one of your ancestors have ever spent, accumulation into what the country is worth right now, and what debt they're in. 1/3 of that was accidentally lost by the Pentagon. The next day, a plane hit the Pentagon where the accounting department was, and they lost all records of that $2.3 trillion. That's when 9/11 took place. Isn't that crazy? I'm not saying any of that's connected. I'm just saying that happened. Um, yeah. So now we're just printing, 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 printing. So 80% of the money that's been created in the last 2 years, we can say, last like 5 years, it's doubled, or I don't know what it's been, but that just means that it took you 10 hours to make, you know, whatever it was. Now, since there's double the amount of money out there, the value of that money essentially gets cut in half. Now you have to work 20 hours to make the same amount of money that you made in 10. And it's becoming more and more of a problem. That's where the 90 to 1% or 90 to 10 rule comes, and then 99 to 1% rule comes. But it's slowly becoming where a few people are in control of all of the money, and the majority of the 99.99% control 0.001% of the money, and the 0.001% of the people in the world control 99.99% of the money out there, or whatever the case. And uh, this has been a pattern. I didn't pull any charts up of this, but the reason why this is going to kill our economy too is because this follows the exact same path of failure that every single fiat currency has had. So, every single currency eventually they print paper. Okay, this is the path of failure of every single money in existence that has moved away from a hard money, meaning not like has left gold, has left a hard money type of thing. Or diamonds or silver, or there's a lot of assets out there that you could kind of say, but gold has been the ultimate one. But leaves physical, like leaves something that is worth actual money, right? Something that has these values right here, and starts moving to something not backed by something, and can be manipulated, and all this stuff, right? But um, but yeah, every fiat meaning not backed by gold currency follows the same path of failure. They go off of gold. They go off of gold. They go off a hard asset standard. They eventually get controlled by big business and the government. They Once it's adopted by everybody, then they end up removing themselves from that hard money, hard asset, and then they start adding more money, and printing more money, and clipping coins and making more gold coins out of less, and all this stuff. And eventually the currency devaluizes so much that it crashes and a new currency takes its place. That's how every single currency that's moved away from a hard asset has followed. And normally this takes place because there's like a war going on. Like imagine you're a country and you're going to war, and you start running out of money. Do you just say like, "Oh, we give up. You can take us over as a country"? No, you're going to print a bunch more money. You're going to make people work more for less. You're going to sell assets to allied countries to have them loan you stuff, like, and then you're in debt more, like, right. And then and then now you won the war, but now you're super in debt. Now people are mad, and so now you have to be like, "Oh, people, we're gonna give you a national park, we're gonna build a coliseum, we're gonna whatever to make them happy, and do all this public works." Now they're more in debt, and so they're constantly in this like trend uh, of needing money they don't have, borrowing money they don't have, and then once they're big enough to have a country in their own currency, they follow this type of failure. So, and that's what we're doing now. If you look up right now, the British pound sterling, longest fiat currency. The British pound sterling has been around for 325 years. This is the oldest currency ever in existence. Um, it has survived 325 years. That's a long time. Now, I know they don't use the British pound sterling. I've been there, and um, but they do still use it actually sometimes in certain situations when it's still pegged to. You can still buy it on markets and bet against it and all this sort of stuff, but it's not used as their main currency. Um, and so I think this is kind of what the United States dollar is going to happen. It's going to move away from the United States dollar and be called something else, and that something else may be a UK, United States, Canada mixture of a currency. And now everybody in the world's going to have to be backed by their currency, and it's going to kind of start the cycle again. I mean, that's just one of the many possibilities, um but if you look at average surviving fiat currency, it's 27 years. So out of all the currencies in existence, interesting. Um, why is it only showing a few if it's showing? Anyways, the average fiat currency has been 27 years. So we've been off of gold since 1971. We've been, let's see, it's 1924. That's 53, right? Um, 51, 3, yeah, 53 years. So we're already over the average lifespan. We're 1 year away from being double over the average lifespan of a fiat currency, and we're printing more money than ever. So yeah. Now here's a fallacy I think is a fallacy, and I don't really agree with, and that was, um, you know, there's a whole conversation to be done about school. I do believe school is not meant to teach you. It's meant to control you and meant to teach you skills to work for corporations. It's meant to have you not think for yourselves and have you be able to work for people that control things, right? There are a few different, people who are going to school to like own their own business and whatever, but lawyers, doctors, you know, um, those are all jobs that you make money, but the person who owns the corporation always makes more. And school is meant. I I I really believe this. That school is meant not to teach you anything other than skills that will help you become good at labor, in some sort of fashion. That's how it started. Um, so I don't know why I got on that whole spiel actually about school, but I want to make a video about that. Um, but yeah, uh, they should teach you this in school, and they don't. They don't teach you. They, what I learned in school was savings account, right? Keep a savings account, 3 months of savings always. But it's like, well, if I invested in the real estate market, like just Warren Buffett's averaged over 20% investment on his return. Cash loses value. Cash lost like it was like 8% last July. Or like August, a couple months ago, or I guess now it's been a minute. I haven't looked at a minute, I guess, but it was like 8%, 4, 5, 6% normal. They say they try to shoot for 2. Um, Obviously, for doubling the money out there, it's not increasing by 6%, right? They're lying to you, but um, yeah, if you would have not, if the advice was put your money in the stock market, and keep putting your money into the stock market and use that as a savings account, then like right now, at the average of 20% return, if you put $100 a paycheck, so $200 a month into the S&P 500, just the top 500 companies combined in the United States, a very basic fund, not risky at all. Within 27 years, you'd have over $1 million. So, yeah, uh, as a kid, I mean, as a parent, you could throw in 150 bucks a paycheck into the S&P 500, and all the money that you make off of each year, you throw it right of the um, your money that you make from holding the stock, you put it right back into the stock market as well, into the S&P 500. They would have over $1 million by the time they turn 18, but that's not taught. Um, it wasn't taught to me, but put it in savings so you hold the fiat currency that loses value. That way you have to spend more of it when you want to buy something. Crazy. Anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to show you. I am running it over an hour, Jiminy's. I wanted to go over my. I was really close to being done with this. Wait, where's my? Mm, I guess we'll do that. Whatever. Um, I was gonna end doing this, but I'll finish it later. but yeah, I'm making this little background video. You know those videos that just sit in the background? I was trying to make something like that. I still am not happy with the waterfall. Oops. But I only have the first. Um, fire is also a little, I don't know. But yeah, next up I was gonna add, oh yeah, and then the flickers of lights. Wait, do I have that? I want to make them really subtle, but maybe it's too subtle. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I was gonna add some like piano music randomly, like just a couple of chords, 20 seconds, like every minute or so, or a couple of minutes, or 5 minutes, or I don't know. Mostly just be ambiance. Um, Maybe randomly have the lights turn on and off. One of the things I don't like about the background videos is they're exactly the same for like 10 hours. And so if you're gonna make a 10-hour video, like at least like every hour, kind of have something interesting happen. Like maybe like you hear like a boom in the background, and then like the chandelier shakes and the lights flicker and it sways a little bit, and then that's it. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some fun things to do. And I was gonna randomly have I'm gonna turn this into a flat screen TV and randomly have like a 30-second Bitcoin clip pop open or pop up, or maybe just like a graph of Bitcoin, or I don't know. I'm still messing around with this, but I'll finish editing it later. I thought if I did this video in like half an hour, I'd mess around with it, but it's been like an hour and a half. So, anyways, if you guys do have any questions, let me know. I'd love to answer any questions you may have on AI or Bitcoin or whatever. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week, if not sooner. See ya.